Could advanced stealth F-35 fighters be used to strike Israel in retaliation for the alleged assassination of Iran's Supreme Leader Khamenei, raising the terrifying prospect of a rapid, high-tech counterattack? There are growing reports that a NATO member state, motivated by shifting alliances and clandestine interests, might carry out a surprise strike on Israel without prior notice, catching defenses and diplomats off guard. Israeli officials are publicly warning about emerging workarounds, technical and operational methods that adversaries could use to permanently degrade or blind modern air defense networks across the region. Troubling intelligence indicates that Turkey may be circumventing US export controls and providing Iran with tools or data that would enable Tehran to detect and track otherwise invisible stealth aircraft like the F-35. Israeli defense officials have warned that Turkey could find technical or operational workarounds to get around US restrictions on F-35 fighter jets, creating new vulnerabilities in regional air power dynamics. Israeli sources now fear that Ankara may discover methods to bypass the legal and technical limits placed on the F-35 program, potentially giving Turkish forces greater access to sensitive capabilities than Washington intended. These concerns have intensified as former US President Donald Trump publicly weighs the possibility of approving an F-35 sale to Turkey, a move that would force allies and intelligence partners to reassess long-standing safeguards. According to a report in the Jerusalem Post, Israeli officials view the potential sale not as a routine arms transfer but as an escalating security problem that could have strategic consequences across the Middle East. Israeli analysts believe Turkey's mature defense industry possesses the technical know-how and engineering capacity needed to overcome many of the practical US restrictions on the aircraft. By contrast, the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia abandoned earlier plans to acquire F-35s after Washington proposed strict operational and export limitations, demonstrating how controls can influence procurement decisions. Israeli officials worry that Turkey may be uniquely positioned to skirt such practical limits in ways the Gulf states could not, creating a gap in regional enforcement and a fresh set of intelligence and defense challenges. Benjamin Netanyahu has publicly and repeatedly opposed any sale of F-35 fighter jets to Turkey, arguing that such a transfer would dangerously undermine regional security and Israel's qualitative military edge. Israeli officials warn that a Turkish F-35 fleet could materially shift the military balance in the Middle East, altering calculations about power projection, deterrence, and the outcome of future conflicts. They say the F-35's low observable stealth and sensor fusion create operational challenges that could present a major threat to Israel's ability to detect and defeat advanced air incursions. Israeli fears include the possibility that Turkey could use F-35s to launch strikes without early detection, allowing rapid, hard-to-counter attacks in a future confrontation. Defense officials note that, to date, no country has reliably detected and tracked an F-35 under realistic combat conditions, a fact that worries planners who rely on timely radar and sensor data. Israel also fears that Ankara might pass on F-35 tracking knowledge, technical workarounds, or acquisition-derived intelligence to adversaries such as Syria or Iran, multiplying the strategic risk. Officials warn that such transfers or shared knowledge could blunt Israel's traditional ability to conduct preemptive strikes by creating safe windows for hostile aircraft to operate. Israeli defense leaders are imploring Washington to weigh broader security implications and not focus solely on the commercial or political value of defense deals with Turkey. Israeli sources argue that Turkey's evolving strategic posture and independent defense industrial ambitions deserve more intense US scrutiny before any advance transfers are approved. At the same time, officials acknowledge the political complication that Turkey's NATO membership creates, noting it makes Washington less likely to treat Ankara as a straightforward security threat. They point out that even a localized dispute in theaters such as Syria or Gaza could carry much higher risks if both sides fielded or faced F-35s, raising the stakes of otherwise limited clashes. Reports also note that the United States has historically never allowed Israel to participate in the F-22 fighter program, reflecting long-standing restrictions on access to certain top-tier systems. Israel has likewise been excluded from the US next-generation F-47 fighter program, a move that underscores both technological divides and political limits on sharing cutting-edge platforms. The planned F-47 sixth-generation fighter is expected to begin testing in 2028 and to enter service around 2030. A timeline that will shape long-term air power balances if export policies change. Sitting beside President Erdogan, President Trump announced he would soon make a determination on the possible sale of F-35s to Turkey, signaling that a high-level political decision could be imminent.
Mr. President, are you going to sell F-35s to Turkey, and what about the legal restrictions?
It's a decision we're going to make We have a very good relationship. I would think that many people, I can tell you, many people, including the people sitting right here, thinks, why wouldn't we do that? We have a better relationship with Turkey, and Turkey's been in many ways much more loyal than other countries that we think would be loyal. So, yeah, something certainly we would consider. It's a great plane. It's the best, currently the best plane by far. And it's certainly something we will consider, yeah. I know, a lot of people don't agree, although I think with time they're starting to agree. Turkey has been a great ally for us. Turkey could have gone on the side. They know Iran very well, and they know the problems with Iran. But they've been very instrumental, along with a couple of other countries, of helping. They could have gotten into the fight. And I hear some people saying about their relationship with Israel. They could have gotten into the fight. They're a very powerful military nation. They didn't do that. Maybe they didn't do that because of me. But they could have gotten into the fight on the other side. They are a nation that's been very, very good. And I can speak for myself as president. They've been extraordinary in many ways with respect to our relationship, including trying to end the war with Iran, or whatever you call it. It's not even a war, it's a military operation. It's a denuclearization. That's really what it is, of Iran, because I don't think he wants to see them have a nuclear weapon either. I'm pretty sure of that. In fact, I'm totally sure of that.
Especially regarding Gaza, of course, with my dear friend, by discussing these issues as well, we attach great importance to this leaders' summit to ensure peace in this region. We consider it a good sign for such a decision to emerge from this leaders' summit as well. And I also think that this is possible.
We are observing a period where Turkey-U.S. relations are developing. In 2025, during our visit to the United States last year, significant trade agreements were also signed. Regarding Syria, Turkey, the U.S. president said that Turkey is an important actor. Before the new term begins, Mr. Trump also mentioned that he is coming with surprise. We discussed the F-35 and the engines of Khan warplanes. Perhaps it could come up on the agenda. What do you think the surprise could be? Will Turkey be able to get what it wants after today's meetings?
Of course, as you know, the F-35 issue is not a new topic for us. And we discussed this with America before. And we received the promise for the 5 aircraft. We received the promise. And Mr. Trump has made an additional promise to us on this matter. And now, in the meetings we will have at this Leaders Summit regarding the F-35, I know that we have positively tested the promise we previously received from them for the future. And on this matter, Mr. Trump always stands by his word. Here again, hopefully, from this Leaders Summit, good news regarding the F-35.
At a time when Holocaust denial, Holocaust distortion, and anti-Semitism are once again spreading across the world, Europe, strengthening Holocaust education is more important than ever. I also want to thank you, Minister, for your strong condemnation of the terrible words by Turkey's foreign minister. Actually, it was hard for me to believe he really said that before I listened myself. We seek peace with our neighbors. We seek peace with Lebanon. Peace must be based on security. Israel has no territorial ambitions in Lebanon. Our presence in the security zone in southern Lebanon is only out of security necessity, to keep the communities of northern Israel safe. It is not Israel that is violating Lebanese sovereignty. It is the Iranian terror proxy, Hezbollah, that built a terrorist state within a state. And as long as this terrorist army remains intact, Lebanon cannot exercise its sovereignty or its independence. Not while Hezbollah possesses greater military power than the state itself. The only way for peace and stability, therefore, is through the dismantling of Hezbollah's terror state. Hamas seeks to replicate the Hezbollah model in Gaza. Hamas's latest trick is very simple. It says it will make room for a technocratic government or committee only to save it from disarming. They don't care if others will collect the garbage, provide municipal services, and administer civilian affairs if Hamas will remain the dominant military force in Gaza, maintaining their oppression and control over the Palestinians in Gaza and continuing its jihad against Israel. This country needs a minimal strategic depth. Our insistence on realizing our rights and ensuring our security in this land is not an obstacle to peace. On the contrary, certain European governments are working to impose on the entire EU their obsessive anti-Israeli agenda. No one can use sanctions to force Israel to change policies on issues at the heart of our existence. When there are disagreements, and sometimes we have disagreements as friends, they should always be handled through dialogue. I will not make speculation about what President Trump will tell Mr. Erdogan. We made it clear that we oppose to the F-35 to sell F-35 planes to Turkey. The Prime Minister himself told that to President Trump. The United States, first of all, it's critical that Israel, in the region we are living, will maintain its, I would say, quality advantage and this was always the policy of the United States to support that advantage. And I'm sure this is also the policy of President Trump and his administration, which is a very friendly administration. And therefore, I hope it will not happen.